seeing the flashing amber light. So in the absence, the green light is showing, so we are racing. So from that very unusual start, Sean Babington has almost involuntarily found himself in a 20-length lead and will be coming round to complete the opening lap. For those of you that didn't see it, he took a bit of a tap from immediately behind, shot out in front in cart number 602, 639 in second place, Oriol Dalmau Caballero comfortably in front of Casenderua, but Casenderua trying to fight back a little bit. Casenderua's margin behind Caballero, well, I'm not able to see it, but it's in terms of a visual, is about 1.5 cart lengths. I'll just try and see who had those fastest laps, because Sean Babington's huge lead is a little bit false because of the strange circumstances of the start. However, he's going to be the last to complain about that, Chris.
Yeah, apologies to those of you watching it live. I think there was a glitch and you may have missed the first half lap or so. One or two shenanigans at the front and in the middle of the pack. We lost a few drivers already. The result is that Sean Babington, who started from pole position, has got a massive lead of 1.9 seconds. Second is Oriol Dalmau Caballero. Third is Zenderua, so he lost a place off the start. Henry Easthope made a good start. He's just gone up to 4th place. In 5th position, we've got Andreas Batman, number 611. Michael Christensen, who we heard from on the grid, is up there as well in 6th place. The Dane, Anthony Abbas, 7th. In 8th place, Laurent Lambert is the top Masters driver going well. Alex Begier and Frank Rosello, who was talking about, has been a very experienced French driver, the 56-year-old. He's up in the top 10 as well. Babington leads. He's slightly extended his advantage over that second lap by a 10th. So he's now 2 seconds clear of Oriol Dalmau Caballero. But Ken, we've lost a few drivers already in this race, haven't we?
Well, yes.
Around the sidelines. We've
and
lost these guys.
Mikko Line leading the Masters at the start. As you say, Florent Lambert. Oh, no, we've not lost him, have we? Yeah, that was the start, wasn't it? 19th place, Mikko Line, and about 6th in the Masters.
Look at Martin Pearce, though, up to 15th from what was it, 30th on the grid. 30th to 15th for Martin Pearce. So we lost Alexi Corso. We've lost Sasha Pio-Heider, and we've lost, I'm afraid, Maxi Fleischmann. Those three didn't make it past the end of the first lap. But back up front, Sean Babington, you can see the massive lead he has there. But 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th are all together. 8th and 9th are nose to tail as well. Florent Lambert and Alex Begier having a good run here. Sean Babington flies over the start-finish line. His fastest lap of the race so far, a 64.744. At 64s now we're in. We hardly saw drivers in the 64s very much until the latter stages of Friday, and of course we didn't really see those sorts of times yesterday with the weather. But Sean Babington absolutely flying. He's mint here this weekend, isn't he? And he's 2.2 seconds clear now, Ken.
Well, I have mentioned previously that Tom Fawcett's mechanicking for Sean Babington, and I said, well, you're doing a pretty good job, Tom. I better mention it on air. He says, well, wait to make sure he's doing okay before you say it's me who's wielding the spanner. Well, Chris, I think I would assess Sean Babington is doing pretty much okay right now.
Yes, not bad. He's had quite good a weekend, hasn't he, so far? I couldn't grumble, that's for sure. So Zenderua in this new team, of course, ART Grand Prix. His team boss, Lorenzo, worked with ART in single-seaters and things like Formula 3 Euro Series, where he ran the likes of Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg to championship-winning titles before they, of course, then moved on to become eventually teammates at Mercedes, and potentially, by the looks of it, 2 drivers battling for the world title this year, given how well Mercedes went in the first Formula 1 tests of the year in Jerez a week or so ago. So up to the middle parts of that first sector they go. Rising up to turn 7 now is Sean Babington. Massive lead that he has established of 2.4 seconds. He's about 0.2 of a second quicker per lap than the group behind. Dalmau Caballero has held his own all weekend here. Zenderua on that pace with him. Zenderua still telling me that they've still got some developments to make to this kart, so all new for them. And if he can get in the top 3 this weekend, he'll be very, very happy to be as high as that first time out. Andreas Batman not too far behind them in 4th place. Henry Easthope then and Anthony Abbas round out the top 6. Now Zenderua is on a good lap here, and he's starting to close down on Dalmau Caballero. He has a go for it straight away, and Zenderua down into the hairpin goes second. What a great move that was. Zen, it was almost as if he decided, I've had enough of this, I'm going to get on with it. He put his foot down and had a great run out of turn 11 and just carried the speed, and a super late braking move into turn 12 for the Belgian to go up to 2nd place. Good move that, wasn't it, Ken?
Certainly was, and we saw it coming to, well, you certainly called it in commentary, and he had posted a quicker time on the previous lap, so no doubt about it, Zenderuwa wasn't going to hang around any longer, because despite the huge lead that Sean Babington has got, Zenderuwa would like to try to reel him in, because a second place finish in the pre-final scores no championship points, just puts you on the outside of the front row for the final. Well, outside of the front row is fine, but the pole position would be better. So Zen now seeing if he can try to reel in Sean Babington. Now I'm just looking, Oriol Dalmau Caballero has gone a little bit out of the frying pan into the fire, because the pressure that Zenderuwa was applying on him at about this time last lap is now being applied by Andreas Bachmann, and with the same result. No, not quite. Well, this time Caballero getting himself a little bit wise. Oh, and that's gone wrong, because Henry Easthope, one of those cases, Chris, where you praise the guy, Andreas Bachmann in this case, for making the move, didn't quite come off, and the net result is he loses a place.
Absolutely right, yeah. You've got to be absolutely spot on when you try and pull a move off, because if you lose any kind of momentum, you take your foot off that throttle for a fraction of a second, and the guy behind has nailed his. They'll just drive past you coming out of the corners. So Babington, Deruwa, Caballero, Easthope, Bachmann. Now the running order, with Bachmann having dropped that place, as Ken described. Behind Bachmann, you've now got Anthony Abbas and Michael Christensen looking very strong at the back of that group as well in 7th place. Alex Beggie's just come up to 8th position, so Alex Beggie now ahead of Florent Lambert, but Florent is still leading the Masters class. Next best Master is Frank Rizal in 12th, and Guillaume Berthaud 13th. Martin Pearce had that excellent start to the race to go from 30th to 15th, but he's still in 15th place overall, and the 4th best Master. We got just about 4 laps to go in this race, with the leaders coming through over the start-finish line. Now goes Babington into turn 1. 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th equally spaced out, really. 2nd and 3rd look safe, Deruwa and Caballero. I'm not sure Andreas Bachmann looks safe, though, because Henry Easthope is breathing down his neck as they rise up through turn 4 into the right-hander at turn 5. Anthony Abbas is right with him as well. And Henry Easthope here, this is the battle to watch. 4th, 5th and 6th. The gaps are coming down and down as they run downhill now through the right-hander at turn 8 and into the left-hander at turn 9. They now begin to break. And you'll see the lead. There's a back mark of Maxi Fleischmann. There's the leader, Sean Babington, watching on screen. There in the red and white.
And there's the move you predicted, Chris, because Andreas Bachmann finding himself a little bit exposed and is losing out to both of the Sodi Kart drivers, both Anthony Abbas and Henry Easthope, going through and relegating the Swede.
And Anthony Abbas carrying a lot of speed into the hairpin, dives now at the inside of Henry Easthope and picks the 4th position away from him. So Easthope gains 1, loses 1, tries to get back at the inside. And I think that Michael Christensen has just got past Andreas Bachmann as well, hasn't he? Yes, he has. So with the blue helmet on in the Tony Kart colours, those two battling and swapping positions. The slightly more orange helmet, Andreas Bachmann, is now at the back of the group. So the new order in that battle for 4th is Anthony Abbas 4th, Henry Easthope 5th, Michael Christensen 6th. Andreas Bachmann suddenly finds himself down in 7th place. And this is the worst session he's had all weekend, Andreas Bachmann, where he's looked comfortably in the top 3 or 4 for the entire duration.
And yet you wouldn't say he's done anything absurdly wrong, would you? It's simply that he's meeting drivers on their mettle, putting really good passing moves on him.
That's right, though. Sean Babington's 3.6 seconds clear of the field now. Absolutely serene driving for him. You'll see him on screen in a second. Want to see more overtakes. You can see down into the hairpin. That was Florent Lambert there, losing a place to Harold Skarkaklis. You saw that on screen. So Florent Lambert with the yellow helmet down to 10th place as he now runs downhill. At the back end of the lap, though, come the leaders. There is Florent Lambert, second one there behind the red cart of Harold Skarkaklis, which has just overtaken the leading Masters driver. 2 laps to go then for Sean Babington. He is in a different league at the moment. They're really going to have to pull something out of the bag to beat this man when we get to the final. But he's got a level head on his shoulders, Sean, and he'll know the job is not done yet, but this is putting him in a very good position. It's looking like a crushing victory in the pre-final, Ken.
Well, yeah, he's 0.15 of a second quicker than the next quickest driver on that previous lap. 3.6 seconds to the good with just 2 laps to go. How much more can you dominate a race than that? Anthony Abbas and Henry Easthope both impressed me. I think they've improved a fair little bit. I just wonder if there's any kind of rivalry within the same team. Anthony Abbas a lot older than Henry Easthope. Henry Easthope having qualified better simply because Anthony Abbas was disqualified, but both of them as a team going well here.
Yeah, doing very well indeed on a very similar pace to one another. Michael Christensen's keeping up behind, and Andreas Bachmann likewise. So there under the screen now you see that battle for 4th place between Abbas, Easthope, and just behind them then on the 2 Tony carts, Christensen, and at the back of the quartet, Andreas Bachmann. We're on the final lap of the race. What I will say is that on the previous lap, Zenderua matched Sean Babington's time. So it seems to be this weekend Zenderua's kart works that little bit better in the second half of the race than it does at the start. And certainly a couple of times yesterday we saw on the final lap or so, Zenderua was able to set in the same sort of lap times as Sean Babington. Now, it may be that Sean's just not quite on full 100% charge mode here for the final couple of laps, because he doesn't need to be, but Zenderua certainly, if he can get a better first few laps in the final, it'll stand him in good stead. But less than half a lap to go now. Sean Babington, Zenderua, and Oriol Damian
Chris,
Cabrera.
what a drama rolling towards us is a tyre, a wheel. Now, who's lost that?
I don't know. Change for 4th just behind as well, because Michael Christensen has just moved ahead of Henry Easthope to move up to 5th place, sorry. Flag out. Babington wins by a mile, by 4 seconds. Zenderua 2nd. Oriol Damian Cabrera 3rd, the Spanish driver. Anthony Abbas 4th. Michael Christensen with that move into turn 13 at the end of the lap, coming home in 5th place. Henry Easthope just missing out to the Dane in 6th. Andreas Bachmann was 7th. Alex Beji 8th. Halsgar Kaklis with that move on Florent Lambert at the hairpin to get 9th place, with Lambert the best master in 10th position. So that wheel flew off somebody's cart, didn't it? It was a rear wheel, wasn't it, by the looks of it, which has come to grief.
Has it come from down the hill? The guy...
yes, there is a cart up at turn 5.
Don't recognise those that racing
a left
suit.
Rear wheel, that's right. And you might be able to see it. Yeah, there you can see it from the overhead shot on the screen there. To the left of the start grid there on track, you can see a tyre, a wheel on the grass in the middle of the picture. That has been shed from a cart which has come to grief up at the top of the hill. Just having a look who might have dropped out late on in that race. Sanad Al Rahawi, that does look like his race suit.
Yeah,
I think
it
it's
is.
Sanad Al Rahawi
well,
lost the wheel.
To go with Abdullah's misfortune in that second chance heat, Sanad has had the considerable misfortune on the very last lap of the DD2 pre-final to lose a wheel and become a non-finisher. So the Omani brothers not having the best of good fortune here. Well, you just can't say enough superlatives to Sean Babington, can you? Zenderua beaten by a margin of 4 seconds, and Zenderua's no slouch for sure. Oriol Damian Caballero continuing his good form. If it wasn't for these two absolutely brilliant, the Brit and the Belgian in front of him, he would be getting all of the plaudits. But a good drive, as I said in commentary, by Sodicart's Anthony Abbas, and in 6th place Henry Easthope, but splitting them in 5th place Michael Christensen. Good effort by Michael Christensen. Andreas Bachmann is shade unlucky to be only in 7th place, but he does get an inside row 4 start in the final. Alex Beji finishing 8th. Harold Skokaklis 9th, and Florent Lambert once again showing that he can mix it with the open drivers, even though he's driving as a master. He makes the top 10 in number 10 in P10 and wins the Masters category. Lorenzo Van Riet 11th, Marcel Schirmer 12th, and the next of the Masters to finish, 2 Frenchmen, Guillaume Berthaud in 13th place, 2nd in class, and Frank Rouxel, the veteran, shall we call him that, having had a stellar motor racing career in many ways, in 14th place overall, 3rd of the Masters. A word also for Martin Pearce, 4th of the Masters in 18th place overall. That may not sound so good, but he did have to start in 30th place, having barely finished a race so far this weekend. But once again, it's all pretty much talk of Sean Babington. Well, we've got a situation where Chris is hot-footing down to the paddock. I'm sure he'll find somebody suitable to be talking with. So the ever-athletic Chris Hartley down in the paddock. Let's join him now.